Most people believe they would recognize depression if they saw it. But here's the unsettling reality. Some of the people who laugh the loudest, go to work every day, and answer every text with a smile are fighting one of the world's most disabling illnesses, and almost nobody notices. Depression has become so common that millions experience it every year, yet it remains one of the most misunderstood medical conditions on Earth. Not because it's rare, but because it hides behind ordinary human emotions. And that's where the biggest misunderstanding begins. Everyone knows sadness. A disappointing exam, a breakup, losing a job, a terrible day that seems determined to get worse. These experiences hurt, but they usually fade as life changes. Time, support, or a positive event gradually restores emotional balance. Depression doesn't follow that rule. Instead of responding to life's ups and downs, it often traps the brain in a state where even good news struggles to create relief.
Imagine waking up after accomplishing something you've dreamed about, yet feeling exactly the same emptiness as before. That's why people living with depression often hear advice like, just think positively, or try to cheer up. To someone whose brain is functioning normally, that advice seems reasonable. To someone with clinical depression, it can feel like telling a person with a broken leg to simply run faster. The difference isn't motivation, it's biology. Doctors diagnose depression based on patterns that persist rather than passing emotions. When multiple symptoms continue for weeks and begin interfering with daily life, relationships, work, and enjoyment, the problem has moved beyond ordinary sadness. The changes appear in many forms. Some people lose interest in hobbies they once loved. Others sleep all day yet remain exhausted. Some barely sleep at all.
Eating habits change. Concentration fades. Decisions become overwhelming. Even simple tasks, replying to a message, taking a shower, making breakfast, can feel like climbing a mountain. One of the cruelest symptoms is guilt. Not guilt for something someone did, guilt simply for existing. Many people begin believing they are failures, despite overwhelming evidence that they are capable, loved, and valued. Depression quietly rewrites how the brain interprets reality. And scientists have discovered that this isn't just a feeling, it's visible.
Brain imaging has revealed that certain regions involved in decision-making, memory, and emotional regulation often function differently in people experiencing major depression. Some areas communicate less efficiently. Others become overactive when processing negative experiences. Even more fascinating is what happens at the microscopic level. Your brain operates through billions of nerve cells, constantly exchanging chemical signals. These messengers, called neurotransmitters, help regulate motivation, pleasure, attention, and mood. For decades, scientists focused heavily on chemicals like serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. While these molecules are important, researchers now know the story is far more complicated than a simple chemical imbalance. Depression appears to involve entire networks of brain cells communicating differently, influenced by genetics, stress, immune activity, hormones, and life experiences all at once. It's less like one broken switch, and more like an entire orchestra gradually falling out of rhythm. Sleep offers another clue. Healthy sleep isn't just about spending enough hours in bed. Throughout the night, the brain cycles through carefully timed stages that repair memories, regulate emotions, and restore energy. Depression often disrupts this invisible rhythm.
Some people enter dream sleep unusually early. Others lose the deep restorative sleep their brains desperately need. The result is a vicious cycle. Poor sleep worsens depression. Depression worsens sleep. Each fuels the other. Stress adds another layer. When humans face danger, the body releases cortisol, a hormone designed to help us survive emergencies. Normally, cortisol rises and falls as needed. But in many people with depression, this system appears to become dysregulated, leaving the body stuck in a prolonged state of biological stress. Imagine driving a car with the accelerator partially pressed all day. Eventually, every system begins wearing down. Yet, despite decades of research, one enormous mystery remains. Why do two people experience the same hardship while only one develops depression?
Scientists believe the answer lies in a remarkable interaction between genes and environment.
Certain people may inherit a greater vulnerability, but genes alone rarely determine the outcome. Life experiences matter. Childhood adversity, trauma, chronic stress, isolation, physical illness. Even these, however, don't guarantee depression. There is no blood test capable of predicting exactly who will develop it or when it will appear. That uncertainty is part of what makes depression so difficult to understand. Another challenge is that depression rarely looks the same twice. One person becomes withdrawn. Another becomes unusually irritable. Some continue succeeding professionally while privately falling apart. Others struggle to leave bed. The illness wears many disguises.
And because it is invisible, countless people spend years pretending everything is fine. Many delay seeking professional help, not because treatments don't exist, but because stigma convinces them they should be able to fix themselves. That delay can cost precious years. The encouraging news is that depression is highly treatable. Psychotherapy helps people identify harmful thought patterns, build healthier coping strategies, and process difficult experiences. Medication can help restore healthier brain function for many individuals. For some whose depression resists conventional treatment, newer approaches have opened unexpected possibilities. Techniques such as transcranial magnetic stimulation use carefully targeted magnetic pulses to stimulate specific brain regions without surgery. Other treatments continue expanding as neuroscience uncovers new pathways involved in mood regulation. The science is advancing faster than many people realize. But perhaps the most powerful treatment begins long before medication or therapy. It begins with conversation. Many fear that discussing depression or even suicidal thoughts might somehow make things worse. Research suggests the opposite. Compassionate, honest conversations can reduce isolation, encourage people to seek help, and even lower suicide risk by creating opportunities for support instead of silence. Sometimes the most important question isn't how are you? It's how are you really doing? And then staying long enough to hear the answer. If someone close to you is struggling, don't assume they simply need encouragement. Offer something practical. Help schedule an appointment. Sit beside them during a difficult phone call. Drive them to therapy. Small actions can become enormous lifelines when even routine decisions feel impossible. Above all, remember this: depression is not laziness. It is not weakness. It is not a personality flaw. It's a medical condition affecting one of the most complex organs in the known universe, the human brain. Every conversation that replaces judgment with understanding chips away at the stigma surrounding mental illness. Every person who reaches out for help teaches researchers more. Every scientific discovery brings us closer to better treatments. And perhaps one day, the illness that hides behind so many silent smiles will no longer hide at all.